So, since we are still talking about things that affect our mental health, because it's May Mental Health Awareness Month, today we are going to be talking about something that definitely affects our mental health, which is when you're in a toxic relationship. So let's get started.
And I want to point out there,
Yeah.
the reason why we're bringing this particular topic is because we've had a couple of, not us ourselves, but we've had a couple of stories from like friends and all that. And unfortunately, this happens more than what we'd like to admit, let's say.
And it happens not only with your spouse, it also can happen with friends. Oh my God. And I've had those. It's toxic relationships
With your friends.
with your friends. It can happen with your parents. Thank God that's not our case. It can happen with kids. It can happen with so many people, but we are going to be focusing about
relationships
with our partner.
Yeah.
Boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. It goes both ways. So, signs of a toxic relationship, Monica. We have, I was reading an article on Healthline, and we're going to be talking about this article. One of the signs is lack of support. You know, the feeling that the other person that does not support your dreams, your career, your goals.
Oh my God. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Because that makes you feel like you're not a team.
Mm-hmm.
You are completely on your own. You have this partner, yet you feel alone because they're not supporting you and your wants and your needs, which obviously we all have, regardless if we have kids or not. We have our own personal needs. So that's a big one.
For example, I mean, our husbands play soccer together, and I know how important it is for my husband. Like when I'm like, I'll go watch you, and I'm not a super soccer fan, but just the fact that I'm supporting him and I'm there. He's a musician. When I support him with that, that's whatever they do, whatever the hobbies are, like it's very important to support them, even if it's something that you don't like.
I know. Sometimes you have to make the sacrifice.
Yeah. Another thing, toxic communication. When you're looking down at the other person and you're looking at them like you're better than them, and you speak to them with sarcasm and criticism.
Yeah, and I wanna put out there that we all, I think everybody has done some sort of that in their relationship when you're mad or something like that. We're talking about the constant. We're talking about the relationship where they're constantly telling you that you're not good enough. You didn't clean the house good enough. You didn't do this. You don't take care of the kids good enough. Mm-hmm. Like you're not the good, like constant in your face. We're not talking about the little bickering sometimes that can happen in relationships. We're talking about that, constant cycle of toxic.
We're going over this article that talks about when it's more severe than just the regular, little arguments that we all have. Yeah. We all have them. Another one is envy and jealousy. Although, again, on the light side, I think it's healthy to have a little bit of like jealousy, because that means that you care.
Is that the Latin in us? Maybe that's a little bit of the Latin in us, that we like that little drama, that little spice of like, oh, me está celando. For those of you that don't speak Spanish, like, oh, he's a little jealous because he saw me and the waiter was like smiling at me and it gave me importance. Like he knows what I've got next to him. Or maybe everybody likes to feel like,
exactly. But again, like you had a story about your Benji.
But wait,
because he's more like relaxed and chill, and something happened.
I have never seen him spark up. On one time we had gone to New Orleans. We were with a bunch of friends, and it was like Mardi Gras kind of thing in New Orleans. And we were coming out of a bar, and some guy stopped me. And actually, it's Mardi Gras. He's probably thinking everybody wants to party like him. He literally grabbed me. He's like, "Hey, beautiful," and he tried to give me a kiss. I have never seen Benjamin jump the way that he did. I mean, he literally pushed the guy, and I was like, "Oh wow, he's defending my honor." So it was kind of like, I kind of felt like, wow, like I've never seen that side of him. So it was nice to feel important at that moment. It was kind of like a little bit of an ego boost to say.
Yeah. And again, that it's good. That is healthy, but not to the extreme of where are you?
What are you wearing?
What are you wearing? You're not going to go like this. And so, we're going, we've all gone through this, and a light scenario, but when it becomes a little bit more than that, that's when you have to watch for the signs.
I've seen friends, Darlene, that have had, and I hate to say it, but we're like, where their spouses are like, well, what time are you coming back? And they have like cameras in their house. Like if they're going out with their girlfriend, to see at what time the door opens and what time they're coming in and like checking in and saying, hey, you're not here. You said you were going to be here at 9. Why are you not here at 9? It's like, these people are adults, so they don't need to be babied. So I think that's more like probably a problem with the spouse, whether that be the woman or the man in the relationship, or the man on man or the woman on woman, whatever it is, that person that's constantly like on the defense, like they think they own you.
Yeah.
And
that's horrible.
I would never deal with that. I would put somebody, like, kick them in the ass and send them out flying a kite.
Yes. And I've heard of this couple that they don't travel unless it's with each other, because she doesn't trust him and he doesn't trust her. And they're happily, quoting, married.
I mean, can you think that there's probably something in there that maybe does work for them being like that? I just can't think of that. I mean, everybody gets jealous. I've got my little jealousy things, this and that. But to say that you can't go to a bar with your friends, like you really can't, because your wife or your husband or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or whatever is going to throw a shitstorm. Like, you'd rather not, like, you're going to be like, I'd rather not even go out because this is a huge problem. Yeah, we're talking about that sort of thing. That's horrible.
That's really bad. Which leads us to the next one, which is controlling behavior. Getting mad when you call them. When they call you and you don't answer, maybe you're working, you're on the other line, you're in the bathroom, you don't have the phone with you. And so, again, that comes from jealousy, but also wanting to be in control.
Or maybe it comes from a past thing, like something that, because let's say you've been together 12 years or something and you had a little hiccup here and there. Everybody has them. And then you just like to tirar pullitas, like, oh, why didn't you pick up the phone? Like, I've done that. I'm like,
oh, you have?
I've done that once. I'm like, why didn't you pick up the phone? But I do it in a joking manner, but obviously with a little like, But then I let it go. I mean, there's people that will take this to the extent of like, where were you? And at what time? How come you didn't pick? They said you left at 6 o'clock. I called you at work. Like, and how come you're home now at 7:30? It takes you 20 minutes to get home. It shouldn't take you an hour and a half. There was no traffic. I mean, people that are just like psychotic, and those signs are like, hell no. I don't know if you deal with that.
No. No, not at all. And I'm sure some of our listeners do. And we are going to be talking later about how to get out of those relationships, or just find the way, to find a common ground. Another sign of a toxic relationship is resentment. Again, bringing things from the past, holding grudges. Oh, but the last time you did this, and it becomes toxic. We also have dishonesty, lying about stuff.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one. And I've seen, friends, vice versa, I was going to say boys and girls.
Boys and girls.
But women and men that have gone through that, like, let's say one little lie, and then there's another little lie. Like, let's say something so simple as like, oh, where did you go today? Oh, I went to have a drink with Darlene. And then they end up finding out that I was really at the bar with like all the people, you know what I mean? Like that sort of thing, like those little lies.
Or they call me to see, oh, Darlene, are you with Monica for real?
Oh my God. But that is like, that's obviously an insecurity that was built in the relationship somehow, and some sort of an experience or something that happened during that person's relationship or in prior relationships that they bring to the new relationship.
Exactly. Another one, patterns of disrespect, like forgetting events, forgetting dates. If you said on Friday we're going to have a date night, then don't come Friday afternoon. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go with the boys and have some drinks at the bar. Or I'm going to play soccer, which is totally fine. But if we said we're going to have date night, kind of disrespecting your spouse's
that's something that hurts, though, because that more hits like a soft spot, because then you feel unimportant to your significant other. It's like, let's say Fabian tells you, hey, Darlene, like, let's go. Or you tell Fabian, let's go to this restaurant tomorrow. I want to take you out. Let's leave Luna at home. And then all of a sudden he's like the next day saying, Darlene, so-and-so invited me to go somewhere, which is irrelevant. There's no like business deal behind it. That's so important. But he's like leaving you to the back burner to go do that. It's like, I'm not special enough. And this is, I'm sure it could happen, but when it happens on a constant basis, you need to start questioning like, hello,
And let me tell you, it has happened. And like you say, you start feeling you're not as important. And it did happen on one occasion this year. And immediately he kind of like, oh, shit,
He realized it.
He realized it. And yeah. But definitely, that's one. If you're going to say something, you got to follow through. Another one, negative financial behavior. Like if you both have a joint account and you said we're going to be saving money because we have a trip coming up, then, you have to respect that. Don't go and spend money and whatever. Respect what you guys talked about and
what you agreed
your
upon.
agreement. And also regarding financial, also if many cases one makes more money than the other. So if one of them is continually like rubbing it in, like, oh, I'm the one that's making more money. I'm the one that makes the payment, that pays the rent. Those things are also, they're adding to the toxicity of the relationship.
Let's make something clear. That doesn't mean because they do that, now you have to go get a divorce or something.
No,
absolutely not. People do that on an everyday probably basis because, again, life is life and the bickering and so on. But obviously there's ways to work on that if you love each other and you want to stay with each other.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about that soon. We have another one. It's if you're feeling constant stress in your relationship, and not because of outside situations with kids' school or with work or whatever. If you're feeling constant stress, like if your body tenses up when you have that person in front of you, then there's something going on. Losing other relationships when they don't want you talking to certain friends, to family members, that's toxic.
Now, I think that particular one can happen. Like, for instance, like if somebody's been friends for somebody for so long, all of a sudden now you get into a relationship with this person and they have, let's say, I'll give you a scenario that I'm painting that I don't know anybody in specific, but I'm just painting it. Like, you just get into this new relationship, and let's say me and Benjamin, we get in a new relationship together. And I always have this guy friend that, is always hugging on me. There's nothing going on. But it makes the other person feel uncomfortable now because now you're in a relationship and that other person's like, well, hello, what is this? This is kind of like disrespectful. I don't care if you guys have been friends for 20 years. Like, why is he all up on you? Or why is she all up on you? It's also something where you have to also you don't have to stop the friendship.
Yeah.
But you have to put some sort of boundaries.
Yeah, boundaries. The other person needs to know, hey,
and communication.
Yeah.
Communication. Hey, listen, this bothers me when so-and-so is always doing this. And then that your spouse or your significant other reciprocates that and says, okay, I'm going to try to tone it down a little bit. I'm not going to stop the friendship, and I'm not going to stop because but I'm going to tone it down a little bit because it makes you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. But for those of you that are listening, if you are in a relationship where he's telling you, I don't want you to talk to your girlfriends, probably sometimes it's because, when she's with them, I don't know, like, she's happy.
Yeah.
I can't control her.
Yeah.
So you gotta watch out for those signs. Another sign that you're in a toxic relationship is when you also stop taking care of yourself. When you're feeling depressed, it's hard for you to get out of bed. You don't want to see this other person. You don't even want to get dressed. You don't want to do anything for you when you fall in this depression. And
I don't want to blame that on our partners, though, because that could go both ways. That could just go in, let's say, us. I always say I used to be the girl that used to dress up. I used to be the girl that would always take care of myself. I always looked nice when I went out. And now I'm the woman, and it's not Benjamin's fault. This is my fault.
Yeah. It's your kid's fault.
It's my kid's fault. It's life. I'm not going to blame it. It's my fault because I forgot about myself and I put everything to the front. So that can also happen there, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's your spouse.
No, it could be one reason when you're feeling down, and it's a whole chain. This is happening at home, so I'm going to be depressed, and you're like, I'm not even going to get ready anymore and look myself pretty for anybody. Another thing, when you're hoping for a change, like many people start a relationship or they get married saying, oh, he's going to change. He's going to change. No.
People are people.
Yep.
And they have their traits. Either you accept them that way, and then you can't cry wolf when you're in this relationship for 30 years when you knew that person was that way, and you're like, oh, because he, but you knew this, and you got into it that way. So either you work on it, or you just maybe you should have never gotten into a relationship, but it's 30 years down the road, it's kind of like, I don't know, like either bye or let's work on it.
Yeah, but from the beginning, you can't walk into a relationship saying, oh, she's going to change or he's going to change.
Yeah.
Another one that's really hard, it's walking on eggshells. When you're afraid of telling something to that person because you're afraid that that's going to cause a whole different issue.
Yeah. And I think that can end up being something abusive, because maybe I would see where somebody maybe has an abusive relationship. I mean, I'm physical abusive, where they're scared to say something because it might spark a plug in the person that is the abuser in the relationship. You know, so the words, you know, that trigger people, and then you're walking on eggshells because you can't say this or you can't say that, because if you do this, then he's going to do this or she's going to do this. Because let's put in mind, and I'm going to put it out there, just because we had that episode that came out and everybody was like, oh, these women are sexist. And I was like, remember that one? Anyways, that's a long story. But it goes both ways. It's women and men that can do that.
Yes, let's specify. It could be women or men. Yeah.
Yes, we have to.
You were officially hit by trolls. The internet.
Yes, I was. But anyways, I'm making it clear it's both ways.
So these are some examples of when you are in a toxic relationship. The good news about this is that if you do love each other, I mean, like they say, there's the 7-year itch. You know, and probably that 7th year, there's a lot of toxicity. But if you love each other, there are ways that you can get out of it and have a happy marriage. So one of them would be, first of all, accept your responsibility. You know, stop saying like, you.
Pointing of fingers.
I learned that we got married in a Catholic church when we were getting the whole preparation for that day. We went to this 3-day seminar, which I loved. And one of the things they said is, stop saying you. Like, you have to take responsibility of what you're doing instead of like, oh, but you this. Like, switch it. Even if in your mind you're thinking it's all your fucking fault. But try to switch it, because words are powerful. And yeah, just accept your responsibility.
Isn't that funny though, that accepting your responsibility comes down to everything? Like, you have to stop playing the victim in your life for many things, for your career choices, for the steps, because everything is choices. Nobody has forced you, unless, you know, you're again in an abusive relationship and they're putting a gun to your head or something, forcing you to do something. If you're in a normal, you know, a situation, you can't be blaming your outside sources for everything, because at the end of the day, you know, you are the one that chooses to do certain things. So obviously that comes big into the relationship thing as well.
Yeah. And like you said, there's therapy, which I strongly recommend going to therapy, but also individual therapy. It's
to work on yourself.
Yeah, to work on yourself. It's very important. And something about therapy that I say, you know how you, even if your car is running good, but it's, you know, you have to get the oil change. So it's the same thing with relationships. You know, everything can be fine, but hey, probably you don't have to be going every week or bi-weekly, but every now and then.
You got to tune into it.
Yeah, every now and then do couples therapy. Again, even if you guys are doing great, couples therapy, I think it's a beautiful thing.
And I think couples therapy during times of positiveness actually reinforces that positive. Like, wow, you. I'm sure the therapist, whoever you're seeing, is like, wow, but you guys are doing so good. And it gives you that boost, you know?
And it also gives you the tools of managing situations when they do come up in your relationship. So even if everything's good, when something kind of like goes wrong, then you remember of those tools that you learned.
Yeah, I agree.
So for therapy, so willingness to invest in your relationship. You both have to be willing, again, to do the work. Couples therapy, the work. So shift from blaming to understanding. So instead of saying, again, like we said, it's your fault, or you always do X, Y, and Z, like say things like, hey, you know, I think we misunderstood each other. Or, again, these are things that you're going to learn in therapy.
And these are things that we're learning as we go every time we talk about these topics.
Yeah. And then just a lot of these things happen because of timing. So you have to be careful when you say things, and understand, like, if your husband came from work and he has a lot of shit going on in his head, try not to nag him. Again, it goes both ways. So again, don't dwell on the past and bring stuff from years ago. You know, it's about, you know, trying to understand each other, love each other, and just focus on the now and then the future. And share your needs with your partner. But again, if you want to get away from a toxic relationship, it's important that you both want it. We are definitely going to put some links on our bio in this episode notes for anybody that needs help in trying to get out of these situations. And so you need to walk out, like you get support from a therapist, you open up to loved ones. If you have somebody that you trust, you confide in. I don't recommend much talking about your relationship with your family members because
they're biased.
Yeah, they're biased. Then the moment that everything gets better between the two of you, then your family is already it's hating. Yeah. So that's why therapist 100% or a good friend. If it gets to a point like you have to change your phone number, so be it, and take care of yourself. And again, we're going to put some info on our bio if anybody needs any help, some links, and just know that a healthy relationship, I'm going to read this, is one that you should be in. There can be disagreements, but you work through them together. If you're having an argument and your kids saw it, try to reconcile in front of them.
So that they can see that.
So they can see, hey, mommy and daddy, they did have an argument, but I saw how they were able to come back together and reconcile. And that's very, very important also.
Amen to that.
Yeah, amen. And of course, I don't need to say this, but if you are in a toxic and abusive relationship, do it. Try to get out of it. Find help, and there are resources. And don't do it just for yourself, but especially if you have children,
do it for them,
because they will stay with that in their minds. So with that said,
we're going to wrap up today's episode. Yes. Stay tuned for next week's episode because that one's going to be super interesting. We have a really special guest. She's going to be with us from Sweden. So very nice. I'm super excited about that one.
And with that one, we wrap up the mental health awareness.
Yep. Definitely.
So see you later. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.